The best man stood up to give his toast at exactly 8:47 p.m. I remember the exact time because I was checking my timeline, making sure we were on schedule for the cake cutting. Everything had been running perfectly. The ceremony was beautiful. The cocktail hour was seamless. Dinner was elegant. The first dance made everyone cry happy tears. It was the kind of wedding that makes you love your job, the kind that reminds you why you became a wedding planner in the first place. And then Ryan Mitchell stood up with a microphone and 3 glasses of champagne in his system, and everything detonated. "I'd like to make a toast," he said, his words slightly slurred, but coherent. "To my best friend Michael and his beautiful bride Jessica." Standard opening. I'd heard versions of it hundreds of times. "Michael and I have been friends since college," Ryan continued. "We've been through everything together. Fraternity brothers, roommates, business partners. I've seen Michael at his best and his worst. I know him better than anyone." Still standard. Best man speeches often start with the bond between groom and best man. "And Jessica?" Ryan's voice caught. "Jessica, you're incredible, beautiful, smart, kind. You deserve the best. You deserve someone who's going to be honest with you, someone who's going to love you the way you deserve to be loved." I saw Jessica smile, touched by the sentiment, saw Michael reach over and squeeze her hand. "That's why I have to tell you something," Ryan said, and his voice changed, became heavier, more serious. "Something I should have told you months ago, something I've been carrying around like a weight, and I can't keep it in anymore." The room went quiet. That shift from light toast to heavy confession is always noticeable. Michael was frowning now. "Ryan, what are you—" "The baby," Ryan said, looking directly at Jessica's slightly rounded belly, visible beneath her elegant wedding gown. "Jessica, the baby you're carrying, it's mine." Time stopped. For exactly 3 seconds, no one moved, no one breathed, no one reacted. We all processed what we'd just heard, trying to make it make sense. Then Jessica made a sound, a gasp or a sob, or something in between. Then Michael exploded out of his chair. "What?" Then the ballroom erupted into absolute chaos. "I'm Maya Sinclair. I've been planning weddings for 21 years. I've seen dramatic speeches. I've seen family confrontations. I've seen drunk relatives say inappropriate things, but I'd never seen a best man use his wedding toast to announce he was the father of the bride's baby, until that Saturday night at the Grandview Hotel. This is the story of the wedding where a pregnancy announcement became a paternity confession, where a best friend betrayed the groom in front of 200 witnesses, where a triangle of lies, betrayal, and impossible choices exploded in the middle of the reception. And it started 7 months earlier, when a couple came to me with a tight timeline, a secret to hide, and a best man who was around a little too much. Michael Harrison and Jessica Chen contacted me in early December with an urgent request. "We want to get married in June," Michael said during our initial phone consultation. "June 15th specifically. Is that possible?" June weddings with 6 months' notice aren't unusual. Tight, but manageable, if you're flexible about vendors. "It's possible," I said. "What's driving the timeline? Why June specifically?" A pause, then Jessica's voice. "We just don't want to wait. We've been together for 3 years. We're ready." It was a reasonable answer, except the way she said it felt rehearsed, practiced, like they'd discussed how to explain the rushed timeline. "I'd love to meet with you both in person," I said. "Are you available this week?" "Actually, I'm traveling for work until after Christmas," Michael said. "Could we do a video consultation?" Another slight red flag. In my experience, couples who are genuinely excited about wedding planning and make time for in-person meetings. But travel happens, so I agreed. We scheduled a video call for the following Tuesday. When they appeared on my screen, my first thought was, they look good together. Michael was tall, athletic, classically handsome, investment banking type, polished, confident, expensive watch visible. The kind of guy who'd been popular in college and successful in business. Jessica was beautiful in a softer way, auburn hair, warm smile, artistic energy. She wore a simple sweater and had paint under her fingernails, an artist I'd learned later. Graphic designer working freelance. They sat close together on what looked like Michael's couch. Modern, expensive, clearly a bachelor place that Jessica probably didn't live in yet. "Thank you for making time," I said, and tell me about your vision for the wedding. Something elegant but not stuffy, Michael said immediately, taking the lead as he would throughout our entire planning process. About 200 guests, good food, open bar, live music. We want people to have fun, but also feel like it's a sophisticated celebration. Jessica, what's your vision? She smiled. I trust Michael's taste. He's better at the big picture stuff. I'm more about the details. I'll design our invitations and maybe do some custom artwork for the reception. But the overall plan, that's Michael. It wasn't an unusual dynamic. Some brides are more hands-off, especially if they're not traditionally wedding-focused. But something about the way Jessica deferred felt less like trust and more like distance, resignation. I pushed the thought aside and continued with my standard questions. Guest count of 200 means you'll need a substantial venue. Do you have a location in mind? We're looking at the Grandview Hotel, Michael said. They have availability for June 15th. 5-star property, great ballroom. They handle everything in-house. Good choice. I work with them regularly. Now budget, what are you comfortable spending? $150,000 to $175,000, Michael said, without hesitation. Jessica's parents are contributing $50,000. My parents are covering $50,000 and we'll cover the rest. Significant budget, upper middle class wedding, everything tracking normally. Timeline is tight for June, I said. We'll need to move quickly on vendors. Photographer, florist, band all need to be booked within the next month. Are you both prepared to make quick decisions? Absolutely, Michael said. Jessica? Yes, we're ready. But she didn't look ready. She looked tired. And when I looked closer, I noticed her hand resting on her stomach. A gesture so subtle I almost missed it. Not obvious pregnancy posture, but something. Jessica, are you feeling all right? You look a bit tired. She pulled her hand away from her stomach. I'm fine. Just been working long hours on a big project. Wedding planning on top of work deadlines, you know. Understood. Well, let's talk about what you'll need from me and what the timeline looks like. We spent 90 minutes discussing logistics. Michael made most of the decisions. Jessica agreed with everything. They were efficient, organized, clearly on the same page, except for the way Jessica kept touching her stomach when she thought no one was looking. Except for the way Michael kept steering conversation away from any topic that involved timelines or planning beyond the wedding day. Except for the way neither of them mentioned a honeymoon. Most couples planning a $175,000 wedding have elaborate honeymoon plans. Michael and Jessica didn't bring it up once. After the call, I sat at my desk trying to articulate what felt off. They were pleasant, they had a substantial budget, they knew what they wanted. Everything should have been straightforward. But my instincts, the same instincts that had saved Lauren from poisoning and exposed David's bigamy, were telling me something wasn't quite right. I just couldn't identify what. Our second meeting was in person at my office in early January. Michael and Jessica arrived together in Michael's Mercedes. He helped her out of the car, his hand on her lower back, attentive and caring. They looked like any engaged couple, except when they came inside and Jessica took off her coat, I saw it immediately. She was pregnant. Not obviously pregnant, she was probably only 3 or 4 months along, wearing a loose sweater that mostly hid it. But I'd planned enough weddings for pregnant brides to recognize the signs. The small but definite bump, the way she moved, protecting her midsection, the glow mixed with exhaustion. She caught me noticing and put a protective hand over her stomach. Congratulations, I said warmly. When are you due? They exchanged a look. July, Jessica said quietly. Early July. July. Which meant she was due about 6 weeks after the wedding. That's wonderful, I said. And it explains the June timeline. You want to get married before the baby arrives. Yes, Michael said, taking Jessica's hand. We wanted to be married before we become parents. Do the things in the right order, you know? I didn't point out that the traditional right order would have been marriage before conception. That seemed judgmental and irrelevant. Absolutely. Well, this changes some planning considerations. Jessica, you'll be about 7 or 8 months pregnant at the wedding. We'll need to think about dress comfort, reception timeline so you're not exhausted. Maybe a chair at the altar in case you need to sit. No chair, Jessica said firmly. I don't want anyone to make a fuss. I just want a normal wedding. Of course. But we should still plan for your comfort. Morning sickness, fatigue, swelling, these are all things that might affect how you feel on the wedding day. I'll be fine, she insisted. Women get married pregnant all the time. It's not a big deal. Except the way she said it suggested it was a big deal, a very big deal that she was trying to convince herself wasn't. Absolutely, I said. Let's talk about the dress. Have you started shopping? I have an appointment at Bella Bridal next week. Michael's coming with me. Michael coming to the dress appointment was slightly unusual. Many grooms preferred to be surprised, but not unheard of. Great, make sure they know about the pregnancy so they can design with that in mind. You'll want something that accommodates your changing shape but still makes you feel beautiful. She'll be beautiful no matter what, Michael said, and he sounded genuine, sincere, like a man who actually loved his fiancée. So why did something still feel off? We spent the next 2 hours reviewing vendor options. Photographer, they chose a talented but expensive option who specialized in candid, emotional moments. Florist, Jessica wanted peonies and garden roses, romantic and soft. Band, Michael wanted something upbeat and fun, nothing too cheesy or cliche. Throughout the meeting, Michael was attentive to Jessica, got her water when she looked thirsty, adjusted the temperature when she mentioned being warm, suggested we take a break when he noticed her shifting uncomfortably. He seemed like a good partner, a considerate fiancé, a man ready to be a father and husband. As they were leaving, Jessica turned back at the door. Maya, can I ask you something? Of course. In your experience, do pregnant brides have happy weddings? Or does it feel like everyone's judging them? It was such a vulnerable question, so honest in its insecurity. Jessica, in my experience, pregnant brides have exactly the same range of emotions as non-pregnant brides. Some are blissfully happy, some are stressed, and most are somewhere in between. What matters isn't what anyone else thinks. What matters is how you feel about marrying Michael and starting this family. Right, she said. But she didn't sound convinced. Are you worried about judgment? My family's traditional, she said carefully. Catholic. Getting pregnant before marriage? That's not what they wanted for me. They're thrilled about the grandchild, but disappointed about the order of things. And Michael's family? They're being supportive. His mom is excited about becoming a grandmother. His dad's old school, but he likes me. And Ryan, Michael's best friend, he's been great. Really supportive. Ryan, the best man. I made a note to meet him, though I didn't know why that felt important at the time. It sounds like you have a good support system, I said. I do, I'm lucky. But again, the way she said it felt more like she was convincing herself than stating a fact. I met Ryan Mitchell in February during what was supposed to be a routine vendor meeting at the Grandview Hotel. Michael had asked if Ryan could attend. He's helping with some of the logistics, and he's good at details. Plus, he's my best man, so he should probably know what's happening. I arrived at the hotel 15 minutes early and found Ryan already there, chatting with the catering manager. You must be Maya, he said, extending a hand. Ryan Mitchell, Michael's told me great things about you. Ryan was attractive in that effortless way some men are. Tall, athletic build, easy smile. He wore a casual button-down and jeans, but somehow made it look intentional rather than sloppy. Nice to meet you. Michael speaks highly of you, too. How long have you been friends? Since freshman year of college, 12 years. We were fraternity brothers, roommates, business partners for a while. Michael's like a brother to me. That's wonderful. It's nice to see close friendships. Yeah, Michael and I, we've been through everything together. His relationships, my relationships, career stuff, family stuff. We're always there for each other. The catering manager arrived then, and we started reviewing menu options. Ryan participated actively, asking questions, making suggestions, occasionally disagreeing with choices. Michael wants beef tenderloin, but I think the sea base is more interesting, Ryan said at one point. It's Michael's wedding, the catering manager said carefully. Ultimately, it's his choice. Of course, but he trusts my opinion. We've always been good at making decisions together. Something about the way he said that felt proprietary, like he saw the wedding as a joint project between him and Michael, with Jessica as more of an accessory. When Michael arrived 20 minutes later, he greeted Ryan with a hug. Sorry I'm late. Jessica had a doctor's appointment and I wanted to be there. How is she? Ryan asked. Good, baby's healthy. She's tired, but the doctor says that's normal. And the wedding stress isn't too much? She's handling it well. Maya's been great about keeping things manageable. They talked about Jessica like she wasn't quite a full person, more like a project they were both managing. It was subtle, but it was there. We continued through some menu tasting, the three of us sampling various options. Michael and Ryan had similar tastes, finishing each other's sentences, agreeing on almost everything. Jessica wanted a lighter dessert option, I mentioned when we got to that course. Maybe fruit tart or lemon cake instead of traditional wedding cake. She's worried about her figure, Michael said dismissively. But it's a wedding. People expect real cake. We'll do traditional. She'll be fine with it. Are you sure? It's her wedding too? Trust me, Michael interrupted. I know what Jessica wants better than she does sometimes. She overthinks things. We'll go with the traditional cake. Ryan nodded in agreement, and I noticed something flash across his face, something I couldn't quite read. Concern, disapproval, agreement. After we'd finalized the catering choices, Michael got a work call and stepped away, which left me alone with Ryan. So best man speech, I said, making small talk. Have you started working on it? Not yet. I'm not great with words, more of a numbers guy. You and Michael worked together. We did, briefly. Started a consulting firm right out of college, but we had different visions for it, so Michael bought me out. Now he's in investment banking, I'm in private equity. But we still collaborate on deals sometimes. And you're standing up in his wedding. That's significant. Michael's like family. Of course I'm standing up for him. There was something in his tone, something weighted. Have you known Jessica long? About 2 years since she and Michael started dating. What do you think of her? Ryan was quiet for a moment. She's good for Michael. Softens some of his harder edges. She's creative where he's analytical. She sees the world differently. But nothing. I think they'll be happy together. Except he didn't sound convinced. He sounded like he was delivering a line from a script. Michael returned then, and we wrapped up the meeting. As we were leaving, Ryan pulled me aside. Maya, can I ask you something? Off the record. Of course. In your experience, when people get married because there's a baby coming, and does that usually work out? It was such an odd question for a best man to ask. It depends, I said carefully. If the couple was already committed and the pregnancy accelerated their timeline, usually yes. If they're getting married primarily because of the baby and not because they genuinely want to build a life together, it's more complicated. Right, that's what I figured. Ryan, is there something you're concerned about? He looked at me for a long moment, clearly debating whether to say something. No, he said finally. I'm sure they'll be fine. Michael's my best friend. I just want him to be happy. As I drove away from the hotel, I couldn't shake the feeling that Ryan Mitchell knew something he wasn't saying. I just had no idea what it was, or that it would detonate in the middle of a wedding reception 5 months later. March brought warmer weather and increased wedding planning intensity. Jessica and Michael were now in full coordination mode, finalizing invitations, confirming vendors, scheduling dress fittings, organizing travel for out-of-town guests, and Ryan was involved in almost every step. He attended the invitation design meeting, gave input on the ceremony music, had opinions about the cocktail hour layout, showed up at vendor meetings even when Michael couldn't make it. Ryan's helping coordinate everything, Jessica explained when I questioned why the best man was so hands-on. Michael's work schedule is insane right now, so Ryan's filling in, plus he's good at logistics. It wasn't unheard of for best men to be involved in planning, especially when they were close friends with the groom. But the level of Ryan's involvement felt excessive. And the way he looked at Jessica when Michael wasn't watching, that felt problematic too. I saw it for the first time in mid-March, during a meeting at my office to review the reception timeline. Jessica arrived alone, Michael was traveling for work, and Ryan had offered to stand in. I'm sorry Michael couldn't be here, Jessica said as she settled into the consultation chair. She was about 5 months pregnant now, the bump clearly visible in her maternity clothes. No problem. We can catch him up later. How are you feeling? Tired, pregnant. Wedding planning on top of preparing for a baby is more exhausting than I expected. That's completely normal. Are you getting enough rest? Trying to. Michael's been worried about me. Keeps suggesting I slow down on the freelance work, focus on taking care of myself, but I need to work. I need to feel productive. That makes sense. Independence is important. Ryan arrived then, and I noticed Jessica's posture changed slightly. She sat up straighter, tucked her hair behind her ear, smoothed her dress. Body language that suggested what? That she cared what Ryan thought of her appearance? Sorry I'm late, Ryan said, settling into the chair next to Jessica. Not across from her, beside her, close enough that their arms almost touched. No problem, we're just getting started. Jessica, let's walk through the reception timeline. I laid out the schedule. Cocktail hour, grand entrance, first dance, toast, dinner, cake cutting, dancing. Standard reception flow. For the toast, I said, and typically the best man goes first, then the maid of honor. Ryan, have you started working on your speech? I'm working on it, he said, having trouble finding the right words. Well, you have 3 months. The key is to be genuine. Talk about your friendship with Michael, welcome Jessica into your circle, maybe a funny story that's appropriate for all ages. Right, genuine. There was something in his tone again, that weighted, complicated something. Jessica, who's your maid of honor? My sister Emily. She's in Boston, so she couldn't make it today. But I'll coordinate with her on the speech. We continued through the timeline, making small adjustments. Ryan had opinions about everything. When to cut the cake, how long the cocktail hour should last, what songs should be played when. Ryan, you seem very invested in these details, I observed. I care about Michael, want his wedding to be perfect. That's admirable, but remember, ultimately these are Jessica and Michael's decisions. Of course, I'm just offering input. Except it felt like more than input. It felt like Ryan saw himself as an equal stakeholder in this wedding. At the end of the meeting, Jessica needed to use the restroom, pregnancy demands, leaving me alone with Ryan. Can I ask you something? Ryan said immediately, his voice low. About Jessica. What about her? Does she seem happy to you? Like genuinely happy about this wedding? It was an oddly perceptive question. Why do you ask? Because sometimes I look at her and I think she's going through the motions, like she's doing what she's supposed to do, not what she wants to do. Ryan, a lot of brides feel overwhelmed during planning, especially pregnant brides. That doesn't mean she's not happy about marrying Michael. Right, of course, I'm probably reading too much into things. Jessica returned then, ending the conversation. But as they left together, Ryan insisting on walking her to her car, helping her in, making sure she was comfortable, I couldn't shake the feeling that Ryan Mitchell wasn't just Michael's best friend, he was in love with Michael's fiancée. The dress-fitting crisis happened in late April, about 6 weeks before the wedding. Jessica had chosen a beautiful gown from Bella Bridal, an A-line design with delicate lace and a flowing skirt that would accommodate her pregnant belly while still looking elegant. The dress had been ordered with her measurements from January, with adjustments planned for her growing shape. The final fitting was scheduled for April 25th. Jessica invited me to attend. Some brides like having their planner there for major moments, and I'd agreed. I arrived at Bella Bridal to find Jessica already in the fitting room with the seamstress, and to my surprise, Ryan waiting in the lobby. Ryan, what are you doing here? Jessica asked me to come. Michael's traveling again, and she wanted someone with her, I offered. That's nice of you. Except it wasn't nice, it was weird. Grooms occasionally attended final fittings, but best men, never. That was girlfriend or mother or sister territory. Jessica's been emotional lately, Ryan continued. The pregnancy, the wedding stress, she needs support. Does Michael know you're here? Of course, he asked me to check on her, make sure she's okay. But the way he said it suggested Michael hadn't exactly asked Ryan to attend an intimate bridal fitting. The seamstress emerged then. Maya, Jessica would like you to come back. I followed her to the fitting room and stopped in the doorway. Jessica was standing in front of a 3-way mirror, wearing the wedding dress, looking absolutely beautiful and absolutely miserable. Tears were streaming down her face. Jessica, what's wrong? Everything's wrong. The dress is too tight around my ribs. My ankles are swelling so my shoes don't fit. I can't see my feet anymore. I'm going to look like a whale in the wedding photos. You're going to look radiant. You're pregnant and beautiful, and I'm pregnant and fat, and everyone's going to be staring at my belly, wondering if I'm really ready for this, if Michael really wants this, if this is all just a mistake we're pretending isn't a mistake. It all came out in a rush, the real feelings beneath the surface. Jessica, sit down. I guided her to the fitting room's couch. Is that what you think? That this wedding is a mistake? She covered her face with her hands. I don't know. Sometimes I think Michael and I are perfect together. Sometimes I think we're just doing what we're supposed to do because there's a baby coming. And I don't know which one is true. Have you talked to Michael about this? I've tried, but he's always so confident, so sure we're making the right choice. He says, of course we're ready. Of course this is right. Why would I doubt us? And then I feel crazy for having doubts. Doubts are normal. Are they, though? I'm 7 months pregnant with his child. We're 6 weeks from getting married. This is a little late for doubts. The seamstress knocked gently. Jessica, we need to adjust the bodice. Are you ready? Give us a minute, I called. Then to Jessica, do you love Michael? Yes, I do. He's good to me. He takes care of me. He's excited about the baby. But sometimes I feel like I'm a project he's managing rather than a person he's in love with. Like he's checking boxes, successful career, check. Beautiful fiancé, check. Baby on the way, check. Marriage, check. And I'm just part of his life plan rather than, she trailed off, rather than what? Rather than someone he actually chose because he couldn't imagine his life without me. It was heartbreakingly honest. Jessica, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that it's never too late to change your mind. If you don't want to marry Michael, but the baby, and everyone's coming, and we've spent so much money, and my family would be so disappointed. None of that matters compared to the rest of your life. A wedding is one day, a marriage is decades if you're not sure. There was a knock on the door. Ryan's voice. Is everything okay in there? Jessica wiped her eyes quickly. We're fine. Just figuring out the dress. Can I see? Not until the wedding. Bad luck. Right, okay. I'll be in the lobby. After he left, Jessica looked at me. You can't tell anyone about this, about my doubts, especially not Ryan. Why especially not Ryan? Because he'll tell Michael, and Michael will think I'm having pregnancy hormones or cold feet or something. And maybe I am. Maybe this is all just stress, and I'll feel different on the wedding day. Or maybe these are legitimate concerns you should address now rather than after you're married. Maybe, but not today. Today I just need to get through this fitting and go home and take a nap. The seamstress did make adjustments. The dress fit perfectly by the end, accommodating Jessica's pregnant shape, while making her look elegant and radiant. But as I watched her look at herself in the mirror, I saw what Ryan had seen, someone going through the motions. Someone doing what she was supposed to do, not what she wanted to do. In the lobby afterward, Ryan jumped up. How'd it go? The dress is perfect, Jessica said, her public face back in place. Everything's on track. Good, that's good. He paused. Are you okay? You look like you've been crying. Happy tears, wedding emotions. Ryan didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. As we walked out to the parking lot, Ryan put his hand on Jessica's arm. Hey, can I talk to you for a second? Alone? Jessica glanced at me. I nodded and walked ahead to give them privacy, though I couldn't help but notice their body language and my peripheral vision. Ryan stood close to Jessica. Too close. His hand moved from her arm to her shoulder. He was saying something I couldn't hear, and Jessica was shaking her head, wiping her eyes again. Then, and this is what made me stop and watch, Ryan pulled her into a hug. A long hug, the kind that looked more intimate than friendly. Jessica's face was pressed against his chest, his arms wrapped around her, one hand cradling the back of her head. When they finally pulled apart, Ryan cupped her face with both hands, a gesture so tender, so romantic, that my stomach dropped. This wasn't a best friend comforting a bride. This was something else entirely. Jessica stepped back quickly, looking around to see if anyone had noticed. Her eyes met mine, and I saw panic flash across her face. She got into her car without another word and drove away. Ryan walked over to me. She's really stressed. The pregnancy is hard on her. Ryan, that's none of my business, but what I just saw was me comforting my best friend's fiancé who's overwhelmed. That's all. It didn't look like that's all. His face hardened. Maya, I don't know what you think you saw, but Jessica and Michael are getting married in 6 weeks. I'm his best man. I'm supporting them both. That's it. Okay, I said, though I didn't believe him. Please don't mention this to Michael. He's already stressed about work and the wedding and becoming a father. He doesn't need to think his best friend and his fiancée can't have a normal conversation without everyone reading into it. Ryan, if there's something going on, there's nothing going on, he said firmly. Jessica's having a rough day. I was being a good friend. End of story. He got in his car and drove away, leaving me standing in the parking lot, my mind racing. I had two options: say nothing and hope I was misreading the situation, or report my suspicions to who? Michael? That would blow up their friendship and possibly their wedding based on a hug that could have been innocent. I decided to watch, to pay closer attention, to see if there were other signs. I didn't have to wait long. Jessica's baby shower was held on May 12th, 4 weeks before the wedding. I wasn't invited. It was a family and close friends event, but Jessica asked if I could drop by with some items for the wedding that she'd left at my office. I agreed and planned to stay for just a few minutes. The shower was at Jessica's parents' house, a lovely suburban home with a backyard full of guests. Women mostly, Jessica's mother, sister, aunts, cousins, college friends, and a handful of men. Jessica's father, a few male relatives, and Ryan. Ryan stood out, not just because he was one of the few men, but because of how he was acting. He wasn't awkwardly standing in the corner like the other male guests. He was engaged, talking to Jessica's mother, playing games, helping set up decorations. He acted like a co-host rather than a guest. Maya, Jessica's sister Emily, approached me. Thanks for bringing those items. Can I get you something to drink? I'm fine, thank you. Lovely shower. Mom went all out. Jessica deserves it. She's been stressed about everything, the wedding, the baby, coordinating both at the same time. How's she holding up? Emily glanced at where Jessica was sitting, opening gifts, smiling, but looking tired. Honestly, I'm worried about her. She doesn't seem like herself, like she's performing rather than actually experiencing her own life. It was exactly what I'd observed. Have you talked to her about it? I've tried. But she just says she's fine. Everything's great. She's just tired. Which, she's 7 months pregnant and planning a wedding, so that's reasonable. But there's something else. Something she's not saying. Like what? Emily looked uncomfortable. This is just sister intuition, but I don't think she's sure she wants to marry Michael. Did she say that? Not directly, but little things. The way she talks about the wedding like it's an obligation, rather than something she's excited about. The way she zones out when people ask about her future with Michael. The way Emily stopped, looking at something across the yard. I followed her gaze. Ryan was kneeling in front of Jessica, who was seated in the mom-to-be chair. He was helping her open a particularly difficult gift, his hands on hers, both of them laughing at something. It looked sweet, friendly, except for the way Jessica's face softened when she looked at him, except for the way Ryan's hand lingered on hers a second too long, except for the way Jessica's mother frowned, noticing the same thing I was noticing. Ryan's been around a lot, Emily said carefully, helping with wedding stuff, being supportive. He's the best man. Yeah, but Maya, best men don't usually attend baby showers or bridal dress fittings or every single wedding planning meeting. Jessica said Michael's busy with work and Ryan's helping fill in. Maybe. Or maybe Ryan wants to be around Jessica as much as possible and is using the wedding as an excuse. She walked away before I could respond, leaving me watching Ryan and Jessica interact. I saw him whisper something to her, saw her laugh, really laugh, unguarded and genuine, in a way I'd never seen her laugh with Michael. I saw her put her hand on her pregnant belly, and Ryan put his hand over hers. Just for a second, just long enough for me to notice. And I saw Jessica's mother see it too. Saw the concern flash across her face before she masked it with a polite smile. Something was definitely going on. The question was, what exactly was it? I called an emergency meeting with Jessica 2 weeks before the wedding. I need to talk to you, I said over the phone. Alone, just you and me. Is something wrong with the wedding? The wedding logistics are fine. This is about something else. Can you come to my office tomorrow? She agreed, though she sounded wary. Jessica arrived the next afternoon looking exhausted. She was almost 8 months pregnant now, moving slowly, clearly uncomfortable. Maya, what's going on? You sounded serious on the phone. Sit down, please. We need to talk. She settled into the consultation chair, both hands on her belly, defensive posture already in place. Jessica, I'm going to be direct because I care about you and I don't have time to dance around this. What's going on between you and Ryan? Her face went pale. Nothing's going on. Jessica, I've seen the way he looks at you, the way you look at him, the way he touches you, the way you respond to him. Something is happening, even if it's not physical. And I need to know what it is because in 2 weeks, you're marrying Michael. And I don't plan weddings for couples who aren't sure. Tears filled her eyes immediately. I am sure. I love Michael. Do you? Yes, he's good to me. He's excited about the baby. He's going to be a great father and husband. That's not what I asked. I asked if you love him. Long silence. Then, I care about him. I respect him. I'm grateful to him. But do you love him the way someone should love the person they're marrying? More tears. I don't know. I thought I did. When we first started dating, I thought he was perfect. Successful, handsome, confident. He swept me off my feet. I felt lucky he chose me. And then I got pregnant. It wasn't planned. I was on birth control, but it failed. When I told Michael, he immediately said we'd get married. No hesitation. Just we'll get married. We'll do this right. And everyone was so relieved. My parents, his parents, everyone. Because at least I wasn't going to be a single mom. At least a baby would have married parents. But you weren't sure about getting married? I wanted more time to figure out if we were really right for each other or if we were just good at dating. But everyone else was so certain and Michael was so confident and I started to think maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe love is just choosing someone and committing. Maybe I was waiting for some fairy tale feeling that doesn't actually exist. And Ryan, she closed her eyes. Ryan was Michael's roommate when we started dating. I spent a lot of time at their apartment, got to know him, and we just clicked. We talked about art and philosophy and life in a way Michael and I never did. Michael's practical, focused on success and status. Ryan's more introspective, more interested in meaning than achievement. Are you in love with Ryan? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. But it doesn't matter because I'm pregnant with Michael's baby and marrying Michael in 2 weeks. Ryan is Michael's best friend. Nothing can happen between us. Nothing has happened between us. Jessica, if you're in love with someone else, it doesn't matter. Her voice rose, then she controlled it. It doesn't matter what I feel. I'm having Michael's baby. Michael wants to marry me. Ryan is Michael's best friend. There is no scenario where I end up with Ryan. Even if Michael and I don't get married, Ryan would never betray his best friend like that. So I need to let go of whatever I feel for Ryan and focus on building a life with Michael. That's not sustainable, Jessica. You can't just will away feelings. I have to try. Because the alternative is ruining multiple lives. Mine, Michael's, Ryan's, and my baby's. At least if I marry Michael, I'm doing the right thing for my child. Giving them a stable 2-parent home with parents who care about each other. And care about each other isn't love, Jessica. Maybe it's enough. Maybe love isn't actually necessary for a good marriage. Maybe commitment and respect and shared goals are more important, I wanted to argue. To tell her she deserved more. To say that marrying someone when you're in love with his best friend was a recipe for disaster. But I also understood her position. Pregnant, family pressure, limited options, genuine care for Michael, even if it wasn't romantic love. Jessica, I can't make this decision for you, but I can tell you that if you go through with this wedding, while feeling this way, everyone will be hurt. Michael will eventually realize you don't love him the way he deserves to be loved. Ryan will have to watch you marry his best friend while knowing you have feelings for him. You'll spend your life wondering what could have been, and your child will grow up in a home where the love is performative rather than genuine. So what do you suggest? I suggest you be honest. Tell Michael what you're feeling. Give him the choice to marry you knowing where your heart actually is. He'll be devastated. He'll be more devastated if he finds out after you're married, or 5 years from now, or when you inevitably can't hide your feelings for Ryan anymore. She was sobbing now, hands over her face. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's right. I just want to do the right thing for everyone. Sometimes there is no right thing. Sometimes there are just choices, all of them hard, and you have to pick the one you can live with. We sat in silence for a while. Then Jessica looked up. If I call off the wedding, I lose Michael. I lose the father figure I wanted for my baby. I disappoint everyone who's excited about this. And I still can't be with Ryan because he'd never betray Michael like that. So I'd be alone, pregnant, with no partner. Or you'd be honest, free, and able to build an authentic life. Maybe not with Ryan, but with someone eventually. Or maybe alone is better than married to the wrong person. I need to think. You have 2 weeks. But Jessica, please think carefully and be honest with yourself about what you really want, not what everyone else wants for you. She left looking even more exhausted than when she arrived. I didn't know if she'd call off the wedding. I didn't know if she'd tell Michael the truth. I didn't know what would happen. But I was certain of one thing. This wedding was headed for disaster, one way or another. I just didn't know it would explode in the form of a drunken best man's toast. The last 2 weeks before the wedding were tense. Jessica didn't call off the wedding. She didn't tell Michael about her feelings for Ryan as far as I knew. She just kept moving forward, checking off items on the timeline, preparing for a wedding she didn't seem sure she wanted. Michael was oblivious, excited, confident, making jokes about fatherhood, planning the honeymoon they'd finally decided on, a brief trip to Napa, since Jessica couldn't fly. And Ryan was everywhere. At every final meeting, every vendor confirmation, every last-minute detail. Always close to Jessica, always attentive, always looking at her with eyes that said too much. I pulled Ryan aside after one meeting, a week before the wedding. Ryan, we need to talk. About what? About Jessica, about you, about what you're doing. His face closed off. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. You're in love with her. He didn't deny it, just stood there, jaw clenched, saying nothing. Ryan, she's marrying Michael in 1 week. Your best friend. If you have feelings for her, you need to address them now, not after the wedding. What do you want me to do? Tell Michael I'm in love with his pregnant fiancée? Destroy my friendship, ruin their wedding, and for what? Even if Jessica feels something for me, and I'm not saying she does, she's made her choice. She's chosen Michael. I have to respect that. Do you, though? Do you really respect it, or are you standing back hoping the marriage fails so you can swoop in later? He flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? Because from where I'm standing, you're acting like someone waiting in the wings. And that's not fair to Michael. It's not fair to Jessica. And it's not fair to yourself. What do you want me to do, Maya? Drop out of the wedding, disappear from their lives. Michael's my best friend. I can't just abandon him. I want you to be honest. If you can't stand up at that altar and support their marriage with a clear conscience, you shouldn't be standing there at all. I can do my job as best man. I can give a toast wishing them well. I can celebrate with them. I can do all of that. Can you really? He didn't answer. 3 days before the wedding, I got a call from Jessica's sister, Emily. Maya, I'm worried. Jessica's been crying constantly. She says she's fine, just hormonal, but I don't believe her. I think she wants to call off the wedding, but feels trapped. Have you talked to her? She won't open up to me. We're close, but she's being really guarded about this. But I see how she looks at Ryan, and how he looks at her, and how Michael is completely oblivious to all of it. This is going to blow up, Maya. I don't know when or how, but it's going to blow up. If she wants to call off the wedding, she needs to do it now. Once they're at the altar, it's much harder. I know, I'll try to talk to her again, but I think she's going through with it. I think she's convinced herself this is the right thing to do. 2 days before the wedding, I got a different call. This one from Ryan. Maya, I need your advice. About. I'm thinking about backing out as best man, making up an excuse, family emergency, work crisis, something. Because Emily's right. I can't stand up there and watch Jessica marry Michael while feeling the way I feel about her. Ryan, if you back out 2 days before the wedding, Michael will know something's wrong. I know. But what's worse, backing out now or standing up there and lying through my speech? Have you talked to Jessica about this? No, we've been avoiding being alone together. It's too hard. Ryan, you need to talk to her. Before the wedding, clear the air, figure out if there's actually something between you or if this is just wishful thinking and complicated feelings. And if there is something, then you tell Michael, before the wedding, give him the truth and let him decide what to do with it. That will destroy him. Finding out after he's married will destroy him worse. Silence. Then, I can't do that to him. I can't ruin his wedding. I'll get through the toast, I'll celebrate with them, and then I'll distance myself. Take a job in another city, create space, let them build a life without me around. Ryan, that's not solving the problem. That's running from it. Maybe running is the best option I have. He hung up before I could respond. One day before the wedding, everything was in place. Vendors confirmed, timeline finalized, rehearsal dinner scheduled, all the pieces arranged perfectly, except for the human emotions underneath it all. The triangle of feelings that no amount of planning could organize or control. Jessica loving Ryan but marrying Michael. Ryan loving Jessica but supporting Michael. Michael loving Jessica and completely unaware that his best friend and his bride had feelings for each other. It was a powder keg waiting for a match. And the match came in the form of 3 glasses of champagne and a microphone at 8:47 p.m. on a Saturday night. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather and terrible timing. Everything looked beautiful. The Grandview Hotel ballroom was transformed, garden roses and peonies everywhere, soft romantic lighting, elegant place settings. The ceremony was lovely. Jessica looked radiant in her dress despite being 8 months pregnant. Michael looked proud and happy. The vows were traditional and sweet. No one objected. No one spoke up. The ceremony concluded without incident. They were legally married by 4:30 p.m. And then came the reception. In part 3, I'll tell you about the hours leading up to Ryan's toast, about the way he kept drinking, about the way Jessica and Michael danced their first dance while Ryan watched from the sidelines with an expression I can only describe as grief, about the moment Ryan stood up with that microphone, and I absolutely knew something terrible was about to happen, about the words he said, about Jessica's face, about Michael's rage, about the chaos that followed, about the DNA test that was demanded, about the truth that came out, about the marriage that was one day old when it started crumbling. Because sometimes the wedding is beautiful and the vows are sincere and everything looks perfect. And then someone tells the truth and perfect becomes shattered.
Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming tales. And while you're at it, drop a like and let us know what you think in the comments below. Now, let's get back to it.
I arrived at the Grandview Hotel at 9:01 a.m. on June 15th to begin setup. The weather was perfect, sunny, 75 degrees, light breeze. The kind of day that makes you grateful to be a wedding planner. The ballroom looked spectacular. The florist had outdone herself with the garden roses and peonies. The lighting team had created the perfect romantic ambiance. The catering staff was prepping an elegant meal. Every detail was exactly as planned. On paper, this was going to be a beautiful wedding. In reality, I was dreading every minute of it. I'd barely slept the night before, my mind racing through possible disasters. Would Jessica back out at the last minute? Would Ryan confess his feelings before the ceremony? Would Michael somehow discover the truth? My phone buzzed at 10:15 a.m. Text from Emily, Jessica's sister. She's getting ready. Seems calm. Maybe I was wrong about everything. I texted back, or maybe she's good at hiding her feelings. Keep an eye on her. Will do. Ryan's here at the hotel helping with groomsmen stuff, avoiding the bridal suite entirely. Also probably a good sign. Maybe. But it didn't feel like a good sign. It felt like the calm before a storm. The ceremony was scheduled for 3:00 p.m. At 1:10 p.m., I checked on the groom suite. Michael was there with his groomsmen, Ryan, and 3 other friends from college and work. They were laughing, drinking whiskey, taking photos. Normal pre-wedding behavior. Maya. Michael greeted me, clearly already a bit buzzed. Everything ready? Everything's perfect. How are you feeling? Incredible. Nervous but excited. Can't believe I'm getting married today and becoming a dad in a few weeks. It's all happening. Ryan was standing by the window, staring out at the hotel grounds, holding a glass of whiskey he wasn't drinking. While the other groomsmen joked and celebrated, Ryan was silent, distant. Ryan, you okay? I asked quietly, moving to stand beside him. Fine, just thinking about the speech. Have you finished it? Yeah, finished it last night. Should be good. Something in his voice made my stomach drop. Ryan, what are you planning to say? Just the usual best man stuff. Funny stories about Michael. Welcome to the family for Jessica. Standard. Ryan, I've got this, Maya. Don't worry. But I was worried. Because Ryan looked like a man who'd made a decision. A terrible, irrevocable decision. I checked on the bridal suite next. Jessica was in her dress, hair and makeup complete, looking absolutely stunning. 8 months pregnant and radiant, despite the fear I could see in her eyes when she thought no one was watching. Her mother, sister, and bridesmaids were fussing over her, fixing her veil, adjusting her dress, taking photos. Jessica, you look beautiful. I said thank you. Her voice was quiet, controlled. Is everything ready? Everything's perfect. How are you feeling? Ready. Let's do this. But she didn't look ready. She looked like someone about to walk into battle. Emily pulled me aside. She's been quiet all morning, almost robotic, going through the motions but not really present. Cold feet? I think it's beyond cold feet at this point. I think she's made peace with a decision she's not sure about, which is somehow worse than panic. At 2:30 p.m., guests started arriving. 200 people in elegant attire, filling the ballroom, taking seats, waiting for a ceremony that I increasingly suspected shouldn't happen. But what could I do? The couple was legally adults, making their own choices. Jessica hadn't asked me to stop the wedding. Ryan hadn't confessed to Michael. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Sometimes you can see a car crash coming and still be powerless to stop it. The ceremony began exactly on time. The mothers were seated, the grandparents were seated. The music started, a string quartet playing Pachelbel's canon in D because Michael wanted it traditional. The groomsmen walked down the aisle. Ryan was first, as best man. He looked sober now, composed, his game face on. He took his position at the altar beside Michael and didn't look at the audience. The bridesmaids followed. Emily was last, as maid of honor, and as she walked past me, she caught my eye. Her expression said, I hope we're all wrong about this. Then the music changed to the bridal processional. Everyone stood, and Jessica appeared at the back of the aisle. On her father's arm, she looked like a dream. The dress was perfect, showing her pregnant belly without hiding it, making her look elegant and maternal and beautiful all at once. Her veil framed her face softly. Her bouquet of roses and peonies was exactly what she'd wanted. She should have looked happy. Instead, she looked terrified. I watched her walk down the aisle, saw her eyes scan the crowd, saw her gaze land on Ryan for just a second, saw the pain flash across both their faces before they masked it, saw Michael, oblivious, smiling at his bride like she was the only person in the world. Jessica reached the altar. Her father lifted her veil, kissed her cheek, placed her hand in Michael's, and took his seat. The officiant began. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I stood at my usual position, side of the ballroom, monitoring everything, making sure the ceremony ran smoothly. But I wasn't watching the logistics. I was watching the people. Michael, genuinely happy, looking at Jessica with real affection. Jessica, forcing a smile, going through the motions. Ryan, staring straight ahead, jaw clenched, knuckles white where he gripped his own hands. Emily watching her sister with concern. The officiant continued through the traditional ceremony. The readings, the vows. Michael spoke his promises clearly, confidently. Jessica spoke hers more quietly, but she got through them. Michael, do you take Jessica to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Jessica, do you take Michael to be your lawfully wedded husband? A pause, just a second. Just long enough for me to hold my breath. I do. By the power vested in me by the state, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Michael, you may kiss your bride. Michael kissed Jessica. The audience applauded. The quartet played the recessional. The newly married couple walked back down the aisle, smiling, waving, officially husband and wife. It should have been the happy ending. Instead, it was the beginning of everything falling apart. The cocktail hour passed without incident. Guests mingled, drank, ate appetizers. Michael and Jessica did their photos with the photographer, smiling, posing, looking like any newlywed couple. I watched Ryan during this time. He stayed at the bar, drinking steadily, not messy drunk, but definitely working on it. His college friends tried to engage him in conversation, but he was distant, distracted. At 6:30 p.m., guests were invited into the ballroom for dinner. The room looked incredible. Candles glowing, flowers perfect, place settings elegant. Everything I'd planned for months executed flawlessly. The DJ announced the newlyweds. For the first time as husband and wife, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Michael Harrison. Michael and Jessica entered to applause. They looked happy. They were good at the performance. The first dance was to The Way You Look Tonight. Classic, romantic, safe choice. Michael held Jessica carefully, mindful of her pregnant belly. They swayed together, and to anyone watching, they looked like a couple in love. But I was standing close enough to see Jessica's face. She wasn't looking at Michael. She was looking over his shoulder at nothing, eyes distant, somewhere else entirely. When the dance ended, they invited parents and wedding party to join them. Ryan danced with a bridesmaid, going through the motions, drinking from a glass of champagne someone handed him. I counted. That was his fourth drink that I'd seen, possibly more I'd missed. Dinner was served at 7:15 p.m., a beautiful meal, filet and sea bass, exactly as chosen. Guests ate, talked, laughed. The energy was warm, celebratory. Michael and Jessica sat at the head table, flanked by their wedding party. Michael kept his hand on Jessica's, attentive and affectionate. Jessica smiled and nodded but barely ate, pushing food around her plate. Ryan sat at the end of the head table, next to Emily. I saw her try to engage him in conversation, saw him respond minimally, his attention fixed on his champagne glass. At 8:30 p.m., the DJ announced it was time for toast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear from the wedding party. First up, the best man, Ryan Mitchell. Ryan stood up, picked up his champagne glass and the microphone the DJ handed him. And I absolutely knew, the way he was standing, the look in his eyes, the slight sway of his posture, this was going to be bad. Emily knew too. I saw her tense, saw her look at her sister with alarm. Jessica knew. She went pale, her hand flying to her pregnant belly in a protective gesture. Only Michael didn't know. He was smiling, relaxed, ready to hear his best friend's speech. I'd like to make a toast, Ryan began, and my world started falling apart. To my best friend Michael and his beautiful bride Jessica, Ryan said, his voice steady despite the alcohol. So far, so normal. Michael and I have been friends since college. We've been through everything together. Fraternity brothers, roommates, business partners. I've seen Michael at his best and his worst. I know him better than anyone. Michael was nodding, smiling. This was what best man speeches were supposed to sound like. And Jessica, Ryan's voice caught slightly. Jessica, you're incredible, beautiful, smart, kind. You deserve the best. You deserve someone who's going to be honest with you, someone who's going to love you the way you deserve to be loved. Jessica's eyes were wide now, silently pleading with Ryan to stop. That's why I have to tell you something I should have told you months ago, something I've been carrying around like a weight, and I can't keep it in anymore. The room started to shift. Guests, sensing this wasn't a normal toast anymore. Michael frowned. Ryan, what are you? The baby, Ryan said, and his voice broke. Jessica, the baby you're carrying, it's mine. 3 seconds of complete silence, then chaos. Jessica gasped, her hand over her mouth, tears immediately streaming down her face. Michael exploded out of his chair. What? The ballroom erupted, gasps, shouts, people standing up, pulling out phones to record. Ryan was still holding the microphone, swaying slightly, tears in his eyes now too. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. But I can't watch you raise my child thinking it's yours. I can't live with that lie. I love her, Michael. I've loved her since the beginning. And that baby, that's my child. Michael launched himself at Ryan, tackled him. They went down hard, Michael's fists connecting with Ryan's face. Ryan didn't fight back, just tried to protect himself while Michael raged. Groomsmen rushed forward, pulling Michael off Ryan. You slept with my wife, Michael was screaming, being restrained by 3 men. My wife, my pregnant wife. She wasn't your wife when it happened, Ryan shouted back, blood now streaming from his nose. It was before you got engaged, before she got pregnant. Michael struggled against the groomsman holding him. You're my best friend. How could you? I'm in love with her, Ryan yelled. I've been in love with her for 2 years. And she loves me too. Every eye turned to Jessica. She was sobbing now, standing at the head table, both hands on her pregnant belly, shaking her head. Is it true? Michael's voice broke, all the rage draining into devastation. Jessica, is it true? Jessica couldn't speak, could only cry. Answer me, Michael roared. I don't know, Jessica finally managed to say through sobs. I don't know whose baby it is. That admission sent another shockwave through the room. What do you mean you don't know? Michael's voice was barely above a whisper now, deadly quiet in a way that was somehow more terrifying than the shouting. We were on a break, Jessica said, the words tumbling out between sobs. You remember in March last year? We broke up for 2 weeks because you said you needed space to focus on a work project. And during that break, Ryan and I, it was one night, just one night. And then you came back and said you wanted to be together again. And I said yes. And we got back together. And a month later, I found out I was pregnant and I thought it was yours because the timing made more sense. And I didn't know. I swear I didn't know for sure whose it was. But you suspected, Michael said. I hoped it was yours, Jessica said miserably. I prayed it was yours because you and I were together. We were building a life and Ryan was your best friend and there was no way. So you just lied. Michael cut her off. You just let me believe this was my child. Let me plan a wedding. Let me marry you. I wasn't lying. I thought it was yours. I convinced myself it had to be yours. But Ryan knew, Michael said, turning to his former best friend. You knew. You knew you slept with her. You knew the baby might be yours. And you said nothing. You stood up in my wedding. You helped me plan this. You proposed a toast. And the whole time you knew. I didn't know for sure, Ryan said, wiping blood from his face. Jessica told me she was pregnant, told me she thought it was yours, told me she wanted to marry you. What was I supposed to do? Demand a paternity test? Blow up your relationship based on a possibility? I tried to stay away. I tried to keep my distance. But then she asked me to be more involved in the wedding planning, and I thought maybe it was a sign that she wanted me around, that maybe the baby was mine and she knew it. Did you? Michael turned back to Jessica. Did you know, deep down? Jessica covered her face. I don't know. Maybe. I think I suspected. The timing, it could have been either of you. It was that close. And I didn't want to know for sure because knowing would ruin everything. So I just chose to believe what I needed to believe. You chose wrong, Michael said coldly. 200 guests watched in horrified silence as a marriage imploded 1 hour after it began. Emily rushed to her sister's side, putting her arms around Jessica. Jess, come on, let's get you out of here. No, Michael said, and she doesn't get to leave. Not yet, not until we figure this out. Figure what out? Ryan said. The damage is done. I told the truth. Now we deal with consequences. Oh, we're dealing with consequences, Michael said, starting with a paternity test right now. Michael, that's not... Emily started. Right now, Michael repeated, and there's a hospital 2 blocks from here. We're going, all 3 of us. And we're finding out whose baby this is. Because I've been planning to be a father for 7 months. I've been preparing to raise this child. I've been reading books and setting up a nursery and imagining what my kid will look like. And I need to know if any of that was real or if it was all based on a lie. Jessica was shaking. Michael, I'm 8 months pregnant. I can't handle this stress. The baby is exactly why we're doing this, Michael shouted. That child deserves to know who their father is. And I deserve to know if I'm about to become a dad or if I'm the idiot who married a woman pregnant with his best friend's baby. The wedding coordinator approached me, panicked. Maya, what do we do? Should we continue the reception? Cancel everything? Cancel, I said quietly. Start ushering guests out. Tell them there's been a family emergency. Arrange for catering staff to pack up meals, for guests to take home. Have the DJ stop the music. This wedding is over. As staff began moving through the room, quietly asking guests to leave, I approached the 3 people whose lives had just detonated. Michael, Jessica, Ryan, you need to take this somewhere private, not in front of 200 people. They already saw everything, Michael said bitterly. Everyone already knows. Might as well finish it in public. No, I said firmly. You're going to take this to a private room. You're going to figure out next steps, and then you're going to go to the hospital. But first, you need to get out of this ballroom. Your guests are leaving. Give them dignity by handling the rest of this in private. Michael looked at me, then at Jessica, then at Ryan. Fine. The bridal suite, 15 minutes, then we go to the hospital. He stormed out. Ryan followed, still bleeding from the fight. Emily helped Jessica, who could barely walk. She was shaking so hard. And I stood in that beautiful ballroom with flower arrangements and candles and half-eaten dinners and overturned champagne glasses and watched a $175,000 wedding turn into a crime scene of emotional devastation. I went with them to the hospital. I didn't have to. My job as wedding planner was technically done, but I'd been involved in this situation for 7 months. I'd seen it building to disaster, and I wasn't going to abandon them now. We all crammed into Michael's car, Michael driving, Jessica in the passenger seat, Ryan and Emily in the back. I followed in my own car. The ride was silent. No one spoke. Jessica cried quietly. Michael gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles were white. Ryan stared out the window, blood still on his tuxedo shirt. At the hospital, we explained the situation to the ER staff. We need an emergency paternity test. The mother is 8 months pregnant. We need to know if it's safe to do this now or if we need to wait until after birth. The attending physician, Dr. Sarah Martinez, looked at the four of us. Bride in a wedding gown, groom in a tuxedo, best man with a black eye and bloody nose, maid of honor trying to hold everyone together. "What happened?" she asked gently. "Wedding reception gone wrong," Emily said, "very wrong." Dr. Martinez examined Jessica. "You're 36 weeks pregnant. The stress you're under right now isn't good for the baby. Your blood pressure is elevated. You're showing signs of distress. I'd recommend waiting until after birth for a paternity test." "How long?" Michael demanded. "She could go into labor any day now. Could be tomorrow, could be 3 more weeks. But given her current state of stress, I'd guess sooner rather than later." "I can't wait," Michael said. "I need to know now." "Michael," Dr. Martinez said carefully, "I understand you're upset, but Jessica's health and the baby's health have to come first. Stress can trigger premature labor. She needs to calm down, rest, and avoid any more emotional trauma." "More emotional trauma?" Michael laughed bitterly. "She's been lying to me for 8 months. I think the trauma ship has sailed." "Michael, please," Jessica whispered. "Please just let me rest. We'll do the test after the baby is born. Just a few more weeks. A few more weeks of not knowing. A few more weeks of wondering if I'm about to become a father or if I've been played for a fool." "You're not a fool," Ryan said quietly. "I am. I should have said something months ago. I should have. You should have stayed away from my girlfriend." Michael whirled on him. "You should have not slept with her in the first place. You should have been an actual friend instead of waiting in the wings hoping I'd fail. I never wanted you to fail, but Jessica and we have something real. And you know it. You've known it for months, but you've been ignoring it. I've been ignoring it because my best friend wouldn't betray me like that, because I trusted you both." Dr. Martinez intervened. "Gentlemen, you need to take this outside. Jessica needs rest, not more fighting." But Jessica spoke up, her voice stronger than it had been. "No, we're settling this now. Doctor, is there any way to do a paternity test before the baby is born? Something that won't hurt the baby?" "There's something called a non-invasive prenatal paternity test," Dr. Martinez said reluctantly. "We take blood from you and from both potential fathers. We analyze the fetal DNA in your bloodstream. It's accurate and safe. But I strongly advise waiting because your stress levels, I want to do it." Jessica said, "I'm done with the uncertainty. I'm done with the lying. I'm done with not knowing. Let's find out the truth and deal with it." Dr. Martinez looked at her for a long moment. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." "All right, I'll order the test. Results take a few days, usually about 3 to 5 business days. Given the holiday weekend coming up, you're probably looking at next Friday at the earliest." "A week," Michael said. "We have to wait a week." "I'm sorry, that's the fastest available turnaround, unless you want to wait until after birth, which could still be 3 weeks out." Michael looked at Jessica, at Ryan, at Emily. "Fine, 1 week. We do the test now, we get the results next Friday, and then we figure out what the hell comes next." "What comes next is a divorce," Jessica said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "What?" Michael said. "A divorce, Michael. I can't stay married to you. Not after this. Not after what I've done. Not after what we've all done to each other. This marriage was a mistake." "We've been married for 5 hours, Jessica. You don't get to call it a mistake yet." "I'm calling it what it is. I married you when I wasn't sure I loved you. When I had feelings for your best friend. When I didn't know whose baby I was carrying. That's not a marriage. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And it happened. So let's just end it now before anyone gets hurt worse. Before anyone gets hurt worse? Michael's voice was ice. Jessica, I'm already destroyed. Finding out the baby might not be mine is bad. Finding out you never really loved me is worse. Both at the same time, on my wedding day. There is no worse than this. I'm sorry, Jessica whispered. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. The blood draws were done in uncomfortable silence. Jessica first, then Michael, then Ryan. 3 vials each, labeled carefully, sent to the lab with a rush order. Come back next Friday at 2 p.m., Dr. Martinez said. I'll have the results then. In the meantime, Jessica, I'm prescribing bed rest. Your blood pressure is concerning. You need to stay calm, stay off your feet, and avoid stress as much as possible. That's going to be difficult, Emily said dryly. I know, but try, for the baby's sake, if not your own. We left the hospital just after midnight. The wedding day had turned into the wedding night from hell. In the parking lot, Michael turned to Jessica. You're staying at the apartment tonight? It was their apartment, the one they'd moved into together 2 months ago, preparing for married life and parenthood. I don't think that's a good idea, Emily said. Jessica should come stay with me. It's our apartment, Michael said. Legally, she has every right to be there. But emotionally, it's toxic right now, Emily argued. She needs space. You both do. Fine, Michael said. Take her. I don't want to look at her right now anyway. Jessica flinched but said nothing. Ryan, who'd been silent through all of this, finally spoke. Jessica, are you okay? Don't, Michael said. Don't talk to her. Don't look at her. You've done enough. Michael, we're done. You and me, 12 years of friendship gone because you couldn't keep your hands off my girlfriend, because you're in love with my wife, because you destroyed everything. I destroyed everything. Ryan's voice rose. Michael, you've been treating Jessica like a project for months, like something to manage and control. You don't love her. You love the idea of her, beautiful wife, perfect family, successful life. But you've never actually seen her. You've never asked what she wants. You've never given her a choice. She chose to marry me. Did she? Or did you make that decision for her the moment she got pregnant? Michael punched Ryan again, not as violently as during the reception, but hard enough to send Ryan stumbling back. I'm done with you, Michael said. We're done. If that baby is yours, we'll work out custody arrangements through lawyers. But we are never speaking again. You're dead to me. He got in his car and drove away, tires screeching. Jessica was crying again, Emily holding her up. I need to go home, Jessica said. Emily's home. I can't go back to that apartment. I'll drive you, I offered. Emily, you ride with your sister. Ryan, do you need a ride? I'll get an Uber, Ryan said. I need to not be around people right now. As Emily helped Jessica into my car, Ryan caught my arm. You knew, didn't you? You saw this coming. I saw warning signs, I admitted. I didn't know specifics. But yes, I knew something was wrong. Why didn't you stop it? How? Tell Michael his best friend was in love with his fiancée based on some hugs and looks? Tell Jessica not to marry Michael because I suspected she had feelings for you? I'm a wedding planner, not a relationship counselor. All I could do was watch and hope people would be honest with each other. They weren't. No, they weren't. Ryan looked at the hospital, at the place where vials of blood were being tested to determine paternity, to determine the future. What happens if the baby is mine? Then you're a father and you figure out co-parenting with Jessica. And if it's Michael's, then you walk away and let them try to rebuild their marriage. Either way, I lose. Either way, everyone loses. That's what happens when people lie, Ryan. When they hide their feelings and make choices based on fear instead of honesty. Everyone gets hurt. He walked away without another word, pulling out his phone to call that Uber. I drove Jessica and Emily to Emily's apartment in silence. When we arrived, Jessica could barely walk. The stress, the crying, the emotional devastation, it had taken everything out of her. Thank you, Maya, Emily said as she helped her sister inside. For everything, I know this isn't what you signed up for. No one signed up for this, I said, but Emily, take care of her. Watch for signs of early labor. If her stress levels stay this high, that baby could come any day. I will. And Maya, for what it's worth, I don't think you could have prevented this. They were all lying to themselves and each other. This was always going to explode. At least it happened before the baby was born instead of after. Small comfort, but she was right. I drove home at 2 a.m., still wearing my wedding planner outfit, exhausted and emotionally drained. Ethan was waiting up. He took one look at my face and said, "What happened?" The best man's toast revealed he's potentially the father of the bride's baby. The groom attacked him. The bride admitted she didn't know whose baby she was carrying. They did paternity tests at the hospital. Ugh, the marriage is over, and I just spent 6 hours watching 3 lives implode in real time. Ethan pulled me into a hug. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I saw it coming. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't stop it. You're not responsible for other people's choices." "I know, but it doesn't make watching them suffer any easier." The week between the wedding and the paternity test results was excruciating. The wedding disaster made local news. Someone had filmed Ryan's toast confession and posted it online. Within 48 hours, the video was everywhere. Best man drops bombshell, claims bride's baby is his. Wedding reception ends in fight over paternity. Groom attacks best friend after shocking toast confession. My phone exploded with interview requests. I declined all of them, but the story was out there regardless. Jessica went into hiding at Emily's apartment. Her doctor put her on strict bed rest after her blood pressure remained dangerously elevated. Michael stayed at the apartment alone, according to Emily, who was getting updates from Jessica. He'd taken the week of work, citing family emergency. He wasn't answering calls from anyone except his lawyer. Ryan disappeared. His phone went straight to voicemail. His co-worker said he'd taken personal leave. No one knew where he was. And me? I spent the week dealing with vendor payments, final invoices, and the awkward task of canceling a honeymoon that would never happen. On Tuesday, June 19th, I got a call from Emily. "Maya, Jessica's having contractions. We're at the hospital. The stress triggered early labor. She's at 37 weeks, full term technically, but earlier than expected. The baby's coming." "Does Michael know?" I called him. He's on his way. "Maya, she's asking for you. Can you come?" I arrived at the hospital to find organized chaos. Jessica was in labor and delivery, Emily beside her, nurses monitoring both mother and baby. Michael arrived 15 minutes after me, looking haggard. He hadn't shaved, his clothes were wrinkled, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Is she okay?" he asked immediately. "She's in labor," Emily said. "It's progressing quickly. Baby could be here in a few hours." "Have you called Ryan?" "No, we don't know where he is. The baby might be his. He should be here." "Michael, you don't have to." Emily started. "He should be here," Michael repeated. "If that's his child, he should meet them when they're born, not days later when paternity is confirmed. Just find him." Emily made calls, finally reached one of Ryan's college friends who had an address where Ryan was staying, a hotel across town. "Tell him to come," Michael said. "Tell him I said it's okay. Tell him the baby's coming and he needs to be here." Ryan arrived an hour later looking worse than Michael. He'd clearly been drinking, clearly hadn't slept, clearly was barely holding himself together. "Michael, I don't know if I should be here." "You should," Michael said. "If that's your child, you should meet them when they're born. If it's mine..." His voice broke slightly. "But if it's mine, then we'll deal with that. But let's get through this first." They didn't speak to each other after that, just stood on opposite sides of the waiting room, both staring at nothing, both waiting. Jessica labored for 6 hours. Emily stayed with her the whole time, coaching her through contractions, holding her hand, being the support system Jessica desperately needed. At 9:47 p.m. on June 19th, a nurse emerged. She had the baby, healthy baby girl, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Mom and baby are both doing well. Michael and Ryan both stood up. "Can we see her?" Michael asked. "Jessica's asking for both of you," the nurse said carefully. "She wants you both to meet the baby." They followed the nurse down the hallway into the recovery room, where Jessica was holding a tiny, pink, perfect baby girl. I stayed in the waiting room with Emily. This wasn't my moment. This was for the 3 people whose lives were about to be determined by genetics. Emily was crying. "My niece, she's here, and she's beautiful." And she has no idea what a mess she was born into. She'll be loved, I said. However this turns out, that baby will be loved. That's what matters. Is it enough? It has to be. 20 minutes later, Michael emerged, tears streaming down his face. He didn't speak, just walked past us and out of the hospital. Ryan emerged next, also crying. He looked at us and said, "She's perfect, absolutely perfect." "Whose is she?" Emily asked. "We don't know yet. We won't know until the test results come back on Friday, but it doesn't matter right now. Right now, she's just a baby and she's perfect." He walked away before we could ask anything else. Emily rushed into the recovery room to meet her niece. I followed hesitantly, unsure if I belonged in this moment. Jessica was sitting up in the hospital bed, cradling the baby, tears streaming down her face. But for the first time in months, they looked like tears of joy mixed with the sorrow. "Maya," she said softly. "Come meet her." I approached the bed and looked down at the tiny newborn. She had a perfect little face, dark wisps of hair, and her eyes, though still unfocused, were trying to open and take in the world. "She's beautiful, Jessica." "Her name is Lily," Jessica said. "Lily Grace. I've known that's what I wanted to name her for months, no matter whose daughter she turns out to be." "That's a beautiful name." I just held her and looked at her and realized it doesn't matter whose DNA she has. She's mine. I grew her. I felt her kick for months. I've talked to her. She knows my voice, and I'm going to love her no matter what the test says. What about Michael and Ryan? Michael held her, Jessica said, fresh tears flowing. He stood there and held her and cried and said she was perfect. And then he said he couldn't do this, couldn't fall in love with her if she might not be his. So he left, just walked out. And Ryan? Ryan held her and said she was beautiful and asked if he could visit tomorrow. And I said yes, because if she's his, he deserves to know his daughter. If she's Michael's, her voice broke, then Michael deserves to be her father, without me and Ryan in the way. Jessica, what are you going to do? I'm going to wait for the test results. I'm going to take care of my daughter, and then I'm going to figure out how to give her the best life possible, even if her origin story is the messiest thing ever. Emily held Lily next, cooing at her niece, already completely in love. I left the hospital around midnight, exhausted and emotionally wrung out. 3 more days until the paternity results. 3 more days of uncertainty. 3 more days before everyone would know the truth. Friday arrived with perfect summer weather that felt wildly inappropriate for the occasion. I met Jessica, Emily, Michael, and Ryan at Dr. Martinez's office at 1:45 p.m. We were 15 minutes early, but no one wanted to be late for this. Jessica had Lily with her, 3 days old, sleeping peacefully in a car seat, completely unaware that the adults around her were about to have their lives determined by a piece of paper. Michael and Ryan still weren't speaking to each other. They stood on opposite sides of the waiting room, neither making eye contact. Jessica looked exhausted. New mother exhaustion combined with emotional devastation. She held Lily's car seat like a lifeline. At exactly 2 p.m., Dr. Martinez called us into her office. All 5 of us filed in. Emily held Lily while Jessica sat down. Michael and Ryan took chairs on opposite sides of the room. I stood near the door, the uninvited observer who somehow couldn't leave. Dr. Martinez had a file folder on her desk. The test results, the truth. "Before I share these results," she said carefully, "I want to remind everyone that this baby is 3 days old. Whatever we learn today, she needs stability, love, and support. The adults in her life need to put her needs first. Can everyone agree to that?" Nods around the room. "All right." Dr. Martinez opened the file, looked at the paper inside, looked at the 4 people waiting. "The results are conclusive, with 99.9% certainty." The pause felt like an eternity. "Ryan Mitchell is Lily's biological father." The room erupted in different emotions. Michael made a sound, half sob, half gasp, like he'd been punched in the stomach. He stood up, walked to the window, pressed his forehead against the glass. Ryan closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. "Oh my God, I'm a father. I'm actually a father." Jessica started crying. "I'm sorry. Michael, I'm so sorry. I really thought she might be yours. I hoped." "Don't," Michael said, his voice hollow. "Just don't." Michael, Ryan started. Don't talk to me. Michael interrupted, still facing the window. You won. You get Jessica. You get the baby. You get everything. Congratulations. This isn't about winning, isn't it? Michael whirled around. You've been in love with her for years. You slept with her. You got her pregnant. And now you have a family with her while I have nothing. So yeah, Ryan, you won. You didn't lose, Jessica said quietly. We freed you. You're free to find someone who actually loves you. Someone who chooses you first, not as a backup plan. You deserve that, Michael. You deserve more than what I could give you. I wanted to be a father, Michael said, and his voice broke completely. I've been preparing for 7 months, reading books, setting up the nursery, imagining teaching her to ride a bike and helping with homework and walking her down the aisle someday. And now she's not mine. And I'm nobody. I'm the idiot who almost raised another man's child. You're not an idiot, Ryan said. You're a good man who got caught in an impossible situation. And Michael, I know you hate me right now. I know you probably always will. But I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. You destroyed our friendship. You destroyed my marriage. You took everything. I'll give you the apartment, Jessica offered. I'll move out, find my own place. You shouldn't have to leave the home. You prepared. I don't want the apartment. I don't want anything that reminds me of you, of this. I'm leaving Chicago, taking a job, transfer my company offered me months ago, San Francisco. I'm leaving and I'm never looking back. Michael, Emily started. I'm done, Michael said. I'm filing for divorce. Jessica can have whatever she wants in the settlement. I don't care. I just want this over. He walked out without another word. The door closed behind him, and we all sat in the heavy silence. Ryan wiped his face. I need to see her. Jessica, can I hold my daughter? Jessica nodded. Emily handed Lily to Ryan. He cradled the tiny baby awkwardly at first, then more confidently, looked down at her sleeping face with wonder. Hi, Lily, he whispered. I'm your dad. I know this is all messed up and complicated, but I promise I'm going to do my best. I'm going to love you and protect you and be the father you deserve, even if I have no idea what I'm doing. Lily yawned, completely unimpressed by the drama, and went back to sleep. What happens now? Emily asked. Now we figure out custody, Jessica said tiredly. Co-parenting arrangements. Ryan's rights as a father, my rights as a mother. What's best for Lily? I want to be involved, Ryan said immediately. As much as peaceable. I don't want to be a weekend dad or someone she barely knows. I want to actually raise her. We'll figure it out, Jessica said. We have to, for her. Dr. Martinez cleared her throat. I'm recommending family counseling for all parties. This is complex. There's significant emotional trauma, and you need professional support to navigate co-parenting and the aftermath of all of this. Agreed, Jessica said. I'll do whatever Jessica thinks is best, Ryan said. We left the doctor's office and stood in the parking lot, this strange little family unit that had just been formed. Ryan, Jessica said, do you want to come over, spend some time with Lily, start figuring this out? I'd like that, thank you. They drove off together, Jessica, Ryan, Emily, and baby Lily. A family, but not in any traditional sense. I stood alone in that parking lot and thought about Michael, about the man who'd been planning to be a father and was now driving away from everything he'd built. I called him. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail. Michael, it's Maya. I know you don't want to talk to anyone right now, but I need you to know you're not an idiot. You're not nobody. You're someone who loved a woman and was ready to be a father. That's not weakness. That's strength. And someday you'll find someone who chooses you first, who loves you the way you deserve. This isn't your ending. It's just a terrible chapter. Please take care of yourself. I never heard back from him. I heard from Emily later that he'd taken the job transfer and moved to San Francisco within 2 weeks. Made a clean break. Started over. Sometimes that's the only option, to walk away and rebuild somewhere new. The fallout from the wedding toast heard round the internet continued for months. The video went viral, over 5 million views across various platforms. People debated whether Ryan was brave or cruel for confessing during the toast, whether Jessica was a victim or a manipulator, whether Michael was better off knowing the truth or would have been happier living in ignorance. Everyone had opinions. No one had easy answers. In part 5, the final part, I'll tell you about where everyone ended up. Ryan and Jessica navigating co-parenting while trying to figure out if the feelings between them could actually translate into a relationship, or if they'd been more about forbidden attraction than genuine compatibility. Michael, rebuilding his life in San Francisco, eventually finding love again with someone who chose him first. Emily, emerging as the real hero of this story, holding her family together while everyone else fell apart. Baby Lily, growing up surrounded by love despite the chaos of her origin story. And me, learning once again that weddings are performances, but marriages are reality. That sometimes the best man isn't the best choice. That honesty, even when it destroys everything, is better than a lie that slowly poisons. That sometimes the wedding you plan is beautiful and perfect and destroys 3 lives in the span of a single toast. And that the only thing you can do is bear witness, offer support, and hope that everyone finds their way to healing eventually. 2 years after the wedding that ended in a paternity confession, I received an invitation in the mail. Not a wedding invitation this time, something different. You are cordially invited to Lily Grace Mitchell's second birthday party, celebrating 2 years of joy, love, and family, however unconventional. Please join us for cake, chaos, and community. The party was being held at a park in Lincoln Park, a neighborhood I knew was near where Jessica had moved. After the divorce was finalized, I called Emily to confirm I was actually invited and not just on some mass mailing list. Of course you're invited, Emily said warmly. Jessica wants you there. Ryan wants you there. You were part of this story from the beginning. You should see how it turned out. How has it turned out? Come to the party and see for yourself. So on a sunny Saturday in June, almost exactly 2 years after that disastrous wedding reception, I arrived at the park with a gift for a little girl I'd only met once when she was 3 days old. The party was exactly what the invitation promised. Joyful chaos. Lily was running around with other toddlers, wearing a princess dress and a crown that kept falling off her curly dark hair. She was beautiful. A perfect mix of Jessica's features and Ryan's coloring. Jessica was chasing after her, laughing, looking happier and healthier than I'd ever seen her. She'd cut her hair short, wore casual jeans and a t-shirt instead of the careful outfits she'd worn during the wedding planning. She looked free. Ryan was manning the grill, flipping burgers with Emily's husband, looking relaxed and confident in a way he never had during those tense wedding planning months. And Emily was coordinating everything, setting up tables, directing party games, making sure kids were safe on the playground equipment. Still the one holding everything together. Jessica saw me and immediately came over, pulling me into a hug. Maya, you came. Thank you so much. I wouldn't miss it. Happy birthday to Lily. She's 2 and already running the world. Come, let me introduce you properly. Jessica called Lily over. The little girl toddled up, chocolate cake already smeared on her face. Lily, this is Miss Maya. She's the lady who helped Mommy and Daddy figure things out before you were born. That was one way to put it. Hi, Lily said cheerfully, then immediately lost interest and ran off to chase a butterfly. She's beautiful, Jessica. How are you? Really? I'm good, Jessica said, and she sounded like she meant it. Really good, better than I've been in years. And Ryan? Ryan's been amazing. He didn't have to be. He could have been a part-time dad, weekend visits, minimal involvement, but he dove in completely. Night feedings, diaper changes, toddler tantrums. He's a genuinely great father. Are you 2 together? Jessica's expression became more complicated. We tried. For about 6 months after Lily was born, we tried to make a relationship work. But it turns out being in love, with the idea of someone and actually being compatible partners are different things. We care about each other deeply. We co-parent really well. But romantic relationship, it didn't work. I'm sorry. I'm not, Jessica said honestly. We figured it out before we did more damage. Now we're friends, good friends, co-parents who actually like each other. And Lily has 2 parents who love her and work together for her well-being. That's more than a lot of kids have. What about Michael? Jessica's face fell slightly. I haven't seen him since the paternity results. He moved to San Francisco, blocked both of us on all platforms. I heard through mutual friends that he's engaged now. To someone he met at work, someone who chose him first. I'm happy for him. He deserves that. Ryan approached then, wiping his hands on his apron. Maya, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Of course. How's fatherhood treating you? It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. Ryan said with a genuine smile. Lily is incredible, terrifying, exhausting, expensive, but incredible. He's a natural, Jessica said. I was worried he'd struggle since he didn't get those 9 months of preparation like I did, but he just figured it out. Lots of trial and error, Ryan admitted, and a lot of calls to Emily asking if various things were normal. Speaking of Emily, Jessica said, she's been the real hero of all of this. She held me together when I was falling apart. She helped Ryan learn how to be a dad. She made sure Lily had stability when everything else was chaos. I don't know what we would have done without her. Emily joined us then, carrying paper plates. I heard my name. Are you telling embarrassing stories? Only true ones, Jessica said with a smile. I was just saying you're the reason we all survived. Someone had to be the adult. Emily said dryly. You three were too busy being dramatic. Fair, Ryan admitted. We stood there, the four of us, watching Lily play with her friends, and I marveled at how different this scene was from the disaster 2 years ago. Maya, Jessica said after a moment, I've wanted to thank you for trying to get me to be honest before the wedding. I didn't listen. I'd convinced myself I could just push through and it would be fine. But you tried to make me face the truth. I wish I'd tried harder. You couldn't have made me listen. I wasn't ready. I had to live through the disaster to understand why honesty matters. Do you regret it? I asked. The wedding, the way everything happened. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. I regret the pain I caused Michael. I regret putting Ryan in an impossible position. I regret the public humiliation and the viral video and all of that. But I can't regret the choices that led to Lily. And I can't regret learning the lessons I learned. So no, I don't regret it. I just wish I'd learned those lessons before hurting so many people. We all hurt people, Ryan said quietly. That's part of being human. What matters is what you do after, how you grow, how you make amends where you can. Have you tried to reach out to Michael? I asked. I wrote him a letter, Ryan said, about 6 months after everything happened. Apologizing, explaining, not making excuses, just acknowledging the damage. I never heard back. I don't blame him. What we did, that's not something you just forgive and move on from. He's happy now, though, Emily added. My friend lives in San Francisco and saw him at a restaurant with his fiancée. She said he looked genuinely happy, at peace. So maybe distance and time and a fresh start were what he needed. I hope so, Jessica said. I really do. He deserves happiness. Lily came running over, demanding her birthday cake. Jessica scooped her up, kissing her chocolate-smeared cheek. Let's do cake, Jessica announced to the party. Everyone gathered around as they brought out a princess-themed cake with 2 candles. Lily sat in her high chair, crown askew, chocolate already on her face, looking delighted. We sang happy birthday. Lily tried to blow out the candles, mostly succeeded with help from Ryan. Jessica cut the cake while Ryan took approximately 1 million photos. It was chaotic and messy and imperfect and full of love. It was a family, just not the family anyone had planned for. As the party wound down and kids started leaving, I helped Emily clean up, while Jessica put a very tired, very cranky Lily down for a nap in the car. How are you really? I asked Emily. You've been the support system for everyone through all of this. Who supports you? My husband, Emily said, my therapist, my wine collection, the usual. Emily, she smiled slightly. I'm okay, Maya, really. It was hard watching my sister go through all that pain, but she came out the other side stronger. So did Ryan. Even Michael, from what I hear, sometimes people need to fall apart completely before they can rebuild into who they're supposed to be. That's very wise. That's very expensive therapy talking, Emily corrected. But yes, I believe it. Jessica was trying to be who everyone else wanted her to be. Dutiful daughter, perfect wife, together professional. She was performing her life instead of living it. The disaster forced her to stop performing and start being honest, not just with other people, but with herself. And Ryan was in love with the fantasy of Jessica, the unattainable woman, the forbidden relationship, the drama of it all. Actually being with her, actually being parents together. That killed the fantasy. They realized they cared about each other, but weren't actually compatible as romantic partners. Which is good. Now they can be good co-parents without the complication of a failed relationship. You make it sound so rational. It wasn't rational. It was messy and painful and involved a lot of 3 a.m. phone calls where I talked people, off emotional ledges. But time and therapy and focusing on Lily helped everyone get to a better place. Ryan joined us, hauling trash bags to the bins. What are we talking about? How messy and painful this all was, Emily said. It really was, Ryan agreed. I've spent 2 years in therapy working through guilt and shame and trying to figure out how to be a better person. I hurt my best friend. I contributed to a disastrous marriage. I created chaos for everyone around me. Those aren't small things. But you stepped up as a father, I said, and that counts for something. It's the bare minimum. Being present for your kid is what you're supposed to do. It doesn't erase the other stuff. Have you tried again to reach out to Michael? I sent him an invitation to Lily's first birthday party last year. It came back unopened with return to sender written on it. I got the message. He's done with me. He has every right to be. Does Lily ask about him? She's 2. She doesn't have the concept yet. But someday she will ask why there are 2 dads in some families and why she doesn't have that. And I'll have to figure out how to explain that her existence came from a situation that destroyed a friendship and a marriage. That's not going to be an easy conversation. But you'll have it, Emily said. That's what matters. You'll be honest with her, age appropriately, and she'll know she's loved. That's all kids need. I hope so, Ryan said. I hope I don't screw her up too badly. Welcome to parenthood, Emily said with a smile. We're all just hoping we don't screw our kids up too badly. Jessica returned then, without Lily. She passed out in the car seat. I'm leaving her there for a bit while she naps. Ryan, did you want to stay for a while or do you have plans? I've got time. Want to grab coffee while she sleeps? Sure. They walked off together, comfortable and easy with each other in a way they'd never been during those tense wedding planning months. They figured it out, Emily said, watching them go. It took them a while, but they figured out how to be in each other's lives without the drama and tension. That's good. It is. And Maya, I wanted to thank you for trying to warn Jessica, for being honest about your concerns. She didn't listen at the time, but she remembers. She knows you tried to help. I wish I could have done more. You did what you could. That's all anyone can do. 6 months after Lily's birthday party, I got a call from an unexpected person. Maya Sinclair, this is Michael Harrison. I don't know if you remember me, but of course I remember you, Michael. How are you? A pause. I'm good, actually. Really good. I'm calling because I'm getting married. Real married this time, to someone who actually loves me. And I wanted to hire you to plan the wedding. I was speechless for a moment. Michael, are you sure? After everything that happened, that's exactly why I want to hire you. You tried to stop that disaster. You saw the red flags and spoke up. Jessica didn't listen, but you tried. This time, I want a wedding planner who will tell me the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Who will pay attention to the relationship, not just the centerpieces. Tell me about your fiancée. Her name is Natalie. She's a teacher. We met through mutual friends about a year ago. She knows everything about my past, the failed wedding, the paternity drama, all of it, and she chose me anyway. She's kind and honest, and she chose me first. Not as a backup plan, not because of a pregnancy, just because she wants to build a life with me. There was joy in his voice, real joy, the kind that had been completely absent during his wedding planning with Jessica. When's the wedding? Next spring. Small ceremony, about 60 people, nothing like the last one. We want simple, intimate, genuine. Can you do that? I can. But Michael, I need to ask, have you worked through everything from 2 years ago? Have you healed enough to be ready for this? I've been in therapy for 2 years. I've done the work. I'm not going into this marriage carrying the baggage from the last one. I loved Jessica. Or I thought I did. But looking back, I think I loved the idea of her. The beautiful artist, the perfect family we'd create, the life I imagined. I never really knew her. Not the way I know Natalie. That's good, Michael. That's really good. So will you do it? Will you plan my wedding? On one condition. If I see any red flags, if anything feels off, I'm going to tell you. And you're going to listen. Deal. That's exactly why I called you. I planned Michael and Natalie's wedding 6 months later. It was everything his first wedding wasn't. Small, intimate, genuine. Natalie was funny and warm and clearly head over heels in love with Michael. Michael was relaxed, present, actually enjoying his own wedding instead of performing in it. When they said their vows, personalized, heartfelt, full of inside jokes and genuine emotion, I saw what had been missing 2 years ago. They chose each other. Not because of obligation or pregnancy or family pressure, just because they couldn't imagine their lives without each other. That's what wedding vows are supposed to be. The reception was lovely. Dinner with 60 close friends and family, toasts that were sweet and sincere, dancing that was joyful and unself-conscious. And when the best man, Michael's brother, not a former best friend, gave his toast, it was wonderful. Funny stories about growing up together. Welcome to the family for Natalie. Wishes for happiness and love, no bombshells, no paternity confessions. Just the way a best man's speech is supposed to be. After the reception, as guests were leaving, Michael pulled me aside. Thank you, Maya, for this, for making sure this time was different. You made it different, Michael. You did the work. You found the right person. I just coordinated the logistics. You did more than that. You gave me permission to be honest about what I wanted. You asked the hard questions. You made sure Natalie and I were doing this for the right reasons. Are you? Absolutely. This is what marriage is supposed to feel like: chosen, intentional, real. I'm happy for you, Michael. I'm happy for me too. And Maya, I hope Jessica and Ryan are doing well. I hope Lily is thriving. I'm not ready to have them in my life. And maybe I never will be. But I don't wish them ill. I just wish them away from me. That's growth. That's therapy, he corrected with a slight smile. A very expensive therapy. As I drove home from Michael's wedding, his real wedding, his happy wedding, I thought about how differently things could have gone. If Ryan had spoken up before the first wedding instead of during, if Jessica had been honest from the beginning about her doubts, if Michael had asked harder questions about why Jessica seemed distant, if I had pushed more aggressively for honesty. But none of those things happened. The disaster unfolded exactly as it was always going to unfold. And from that disaster, people grew, learned, became better versions of themselves. Sometimes destruction is necessary for reconstruction. I've been planning weddings for 23 years now. I've organized over 680 ceremonies. I've witnessed every possible variation of love, family dynamics, crisis, and joy. And here's what the Ryan Jessica Michael situation taught me. Feelings don't follow rules. You can't control who you love or when you love them. Jessica didn't plan to fall for her boyfriend's best friend. Ryan didn't plan to fall for Michael's girlfriend. These things happen despite everyone's best intentions. The mistake wasn't having the feelings, it was how they handled them. Silence is not kindness. Ryan thought he was being a good friend by staying silent about his feelings and the possible paternity. Jessica thought she was protecting people by not voicing her doubts. But silence just delayed the inevitable explosion. Honesty, however painful, is always better than deception. Pregnancy doesn't fix uncertainty. Having a baby doesn't resolve relationship doubts or make unclear feelings suddenly clear. If anything, it amplifies every existing problem. Jessica and Michael's relationship was already on shaky ground. Adding a pregnancy just put them on a faster timeline toward disaster. Public vows don't create private commitment. Michael and Jessica stood at an altar and said, "I do," in front of 200 people. But Jessica's heart wasn't in it. The public performance didn't create the private reality. Marriage has to be chosen behind closed doors, not just announced in ballrooms. Best man's speeches are not the place for confessions. I say this as both a joke and a serious warning. If you have something important to confess, do it privately before the wedding. A microphone and an audience do not make difficult truths easier to hear. Children deserve honest origins. Lily will someday learn that she was conceived during a brief breakup, that her parents almost didn't know she was her father's biological child, that her birth came amid spectacular relationship chaos. That's not an easy story, but it's her story, and she deserves to know it. Kids are resilient. What damages them isn't complicated origins, it's lies about those origins. Co-parenting can work even when romance doesn't. Jessica and Ryan proved that you can care deeply about someone, share a child with them, and still not be compatible romantic partners. They figured out how to be good parents together without forcing a relationship that didn't work. That's maturity. Some friendships can't survive certain betrayals. Michael and Ryan had a 12-year friendship. It ended in one night. That's the reality. Not every betrayal can be forgiven. Not every friendship can recover. Sometimes the best outcome is clean separation and separate futures. Time and therapy actually help. This is less poetic but equally true. Everyone in this situation got professional help. Jessica, Ryan, Michael, even Emily, they worked through their trauma, their guilt, their pain, and they came out healthier on the other side. Mental health support matters. Second chances exist. Michael got his. He rebuilt his life, found genuine love, had a wedding that was everything his first one wasn't. His story didn't end with that disaster. It just pivoted toward a better path. And finally, my job is still impossible sometimes. I'm a wedding planner. I can coordinate logistics flawlessly. I can create beautiful celebrations. But I can't make people be honest with each other. I can't force them to address problems they're avoiding. I can't prevent disasters if people are determined to walk toward them. All I can do is notice red flags, speak up about concerns, and hope people listen before it's too late. 3 years after the toast heard round the internet, I received a Christmas card. It was from Jessica, Ryan, and Lily. The photo showed the three of them at a pumpkin patch. Lily sitting on a giant pumpkin, Jessica and Ryan on either side of her, all three smiling. Inside, Jessica had written, "Dear Maya, thank you for trying to save us from ourselves 3 years ago. We didn't listen, but we should have. The disaster needed to happen. It was the only way we'd all get to where we needed to be. Ryan and I are good friends, great co-parents, and Lily is the happiest, most loved 3-year-old in Chicago. Michael is happy in San Francisco. We hear updates through mutual friends. Emily is still the glue holding this strange family together, and I'm finally living my life honestly instead of performing it. Thank you for being part of our story, even the messy parts, especially the messy parts. With gratitude, Jessica, Ryan, and Lily." I put the card on my mantle next to cards from other couples, both the ones whose weddings went perfectly and the ones that ended in disaster. Because both types of stories matter. Both types teach lessons. And sometimes the wedding that explodes in public is the one that forces everyone to rebuild into who they were always supposed to be. If you've stayed with me through this entire story, through the uncomfortable warning signs, the viral toast confession, the paternity drama, and the eventual healing, thank you. I know it's heavy. I know it's messy. I know some of you might be listening because you recognize something in these stories. Complicated feelings for the wrong person, doubts about an upcoming marriage, secret you're carrying that you know will explode eventually. If that's you, hear this. Tell the truth. Before the wedding, before the vows, before you stand at an altar and make promises you're not sure you can keep. Will it be painful? Yes. Will it disappoint people? Probably. Will it feel like the end of the world? Absolutely. But a canceled wedding is better than a destroyed marriage. Temporary embarrassment is better than years of living a lie. Honesty, even when it cost everything, is better than a performance that slowly kills you. To wedding vendors, photographers, florists, caterers, DJs, venue coordinators, planners like me, pay attention. Notice when brides seem resigned rather than excited, when grooms make all the decisions while fiancés go silent, when best men are around a little too much, when something feels off, you're not required to fix it. You're not responsible for other people's choices, but you can create space for honesty. You can ask gentle questions. You can let people know it's okay to change their minds. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes one person noticing and caring prevents a disaster. And sometimes, like with Jessica and Ryan and Michael, the disaster has to happen before anyone can heal. 3 weddings, 3 disasters, there's 3 lessons. Lauren taught me that love can be poison disguised as care. David taught me that some people are professional predators and patterns reveal truth. Jessica and Ryan taught me that feelings don't follow rules and honesty, however late, is better than comfortable lies. I'm a wedding planner. I create beautiful celebrations of love. But sometimes, the most important thing I do is recognize when the celebration shouldn't happen at all, or when a toast needs to be interrupted before someone says something that can be unsaid. Though in this case, maybe Ryan's confession, however spectacularly terrible the timing, was the only way to force everyone to face the truth. Maybe sometimes the explosion is necessary. Maybe sometimes the wedding has to fail so the people can succeed. I still don't know if that makes Ryan brave or selfish, honest or cruel, a truth teller or a relationship destroyer. Maybe he's all of those things. What I do know is this. 3 years later, Lily has two parents who love her. Jessica is living authentically. Ryan is being the father he needed to be. And Michael found the love he deserved. The disaster led to growth. The explosion led to healing. The viral video of a wedding toast disaster led to multiple people finding their way to better lives. Sometimes that's the best outcome we can hope for. Not a perfect wedding, not a fairy tale ending, just people learning to be honest, to heal, and to build real lives instead of perform ones. And sometimes that's more valuable than any wedding I could ever plan.
Thanks so much for joining us on this journey. If you loved this tale, please subscribe to Tin Tea Tales for more stories like this one. Hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and check out our latest uploads on the channel. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next one.